Hello, I'm Parker, a Canadian game developer and programmer. My capstone project I've been working on this past year is Rotberg, with a team of 5 named Team. In Rotberg, you play as a live streamer doing an urban exploration stream in the forgotten school of Rotberg. While inside, your dog gets yoinked as you fall through the floorboards. Your live stream continues as you fight your way through terrifying creatures to rescue your dog and flee Rotberg. On this project, my main role is the primary programmer, which means I'm in charge of the enemy behavior. Our core gameplay centers around these larger threats that interact with the player differently than the smaller enemies. The first major enemy I designed was the Hall Monitor, a watching eyeball-themed entity. One of our main game pillars is tension, and I wanted that to reflect in the design of our enemies. My first reference for my monster came from the cartoon Regular Show, where the main characters deal with a floating eyeball monster that constantly watches them. I created his behavior to appear above the player and change color to depict when he would begin his search to attack. The player would then be tasked with hiding in a locker, and tension would come from them frantically looking for one. During playtests, however, it was clear that there was a major issue with the design of the Hall Monitor. Players did not understand what was happening, his visuals did not convey the proper information to the player, his design was just way too goofy for the tone that we were going for, he didn't create any tension with the player because of just how confused he made them, and it also just takes up a large amount of the player's screen space. This current design just relies way too heavily on written instruction. This lack of visual communication in the design caused interactions to feel unfair, and it broke the immersion for the player. This left me with a question: how might I change the design of our enemy to create more tension during gameplay and give the player more clarity? So I had to make the decision to redesign the Hall Monitor with his intentional gameplay in mind. This would require me to scrap most of the code I've done and start all over again, but our game would have suffered if this design issue was left unchecked. For the new design, I wanted to take a more body horror approach for the visuals. I happen to own quite a collection of books from Junji Ito, a Japanese horror manga artist, whose work frequently depicts body horror. I referenced his short story Wooden Spirit, which depicts exactly what I was looking for with the new design of the Hall Monitor. Now, with the Hall Monitor's new design, eyeballs will appear from the walls when the player enters his trigger area. After increasing in speed, they will search for the player and then psychologically attack them. I tested visually how it would look using images off Google, and instantly the new design felt way more terrifying. Originally, how I had set this up was to manually place seamless overlays of the eyes in the environment where the player would be walking. However, this logic was not modular at all and required a great deal of work to set up, and since each overlay also required an animator component, that became very intensive on processing power. How I problem solved this was to create a 3x3 grid that follows the player to create a parallax effect. This allowed for the Hall Monitor to be modular, which means that it could be used at any part of the level, and it cuts the amount of running animators down to 9. Next, I added the looking around animations and created new animations for the different rates of speed. If the eyeballs glare at the player and they're exposed, they'll receive damage and trigger the eyeball attack effect. Now, the design takes itself much more seriously, which makes it much more sinister. Visually, it will convey the information of looking for something as the eyes look around. Tension now slowly ramps up over time as the looking speed increases. Now with this new design, it blends into the background of the environment, so it doesn't take up the player's screen space. To wrap things up, this project really taught me a lot personally as a developer. I started to realize just how important visual communication is over written instructions. This experience showed me how important it is to keep iterating, listen to feedback, making changes, and continuously improving the experience little by little. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, comment, and share your thoughts. See you in the next one.